Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to this special session on the role of youth and technology in the road transport sector. As a countdown to the Continental Tires presents TV9 Network Leaders of Road Transport Awards 2022, powered by Maruti Suzuki Commercial begins, let's look into some of the developments that the road transport and commercial vehicle industry have gone through in the last few years. Leaders of Road Transport Awards is an attempt to showcase and applaud the initiatives and hard work of the road transport industry, which has often been called a neglected segment, despite the fact that they are so important in all our lives and in all the businesses that we see around us. In the last few years, road transport has grown enormously, and one of the drivers of growth has been technology, be it the back-end operations of a transport company, or vehicles, or even tires. In our panel discussion today, we would be looking at these elements of the road transport industry, which has largely been driven by technology. Before we begin our proceedings, I would like to welcome our distinguished panelists. Please welcome Mr. Pramod Vasudevan, Business Head Marketing and Sales Truck Tires from Continental Tires, Mr. Amit Geji, Head Marketing Gulf Oil, and Abhishek Gupta, Prakash Parcel Services and General Secretary of All India Transporters Welfare Association. We are glad to have them as a part of this discussion. And without further delay, let's dive into this very engrossing discussion. Let me first start with Pramod. Pramod, tires are a huge cost center for the road transport industry, right from acquisition cost to the operating economics. How much has tire technology changed over the years to provide better CPKM?
So good afternoon, Girish, and first of all, thanks to the TV9 team for having me on this panel. So coming to your question, we at Continental have always strived to make products which are better and safer for our customers. But having said so, we have a large R&D team which is based in Germany as well as in India, who are constantly innovating and developing new products which can provide a better CPK to the customer. So to give some specifics, we have recently introduced a new polymer compound technology in our long distance tires in India. Now what this technology does is it gives the customer a much better mileage, it gives the customer a much better fuel efficiency as well as better safety for the vehicle without compromising on the overall durability. We have also introduced something called the Conti Supreme technology. Now what this technology does is it gives a much retrievability to the tires, thereby increasing the overall life and giving a better value to the tires. So most of the products that we currently manufacture at our plant in India comes back with technologies which not only ensure that the customer gets a better cost per kilometer, but also at the same time helps the customer to get a better operational efficiency in terms of lower downtime. And that's what we normally strive for, and that's always been our objective.
So Pramod, while the country moved from BS4 to BS6, did it have any bearing on the tires as well?
That has been a turbulence that the entire industry went through, Girish, and we've also been part of that. But for us, the big change has been the shift from radial to bias also. As this transition happened, there was a change from the OEM manufacturers moving from bias tires and to radials. So, but unfortunately, that after effect is something that we have not seen in a big way in the radial market, in the replacement market. Now, typically in the replacement market, the radial tires come at a slightly higher premium, and hence there's a reluctance on the customer front to take that up. And that's where we have been working with our stakeholders and various industry partners to see how we can help that transition.
So Amit, coming to you, how has the transition from BS4 to BS6 been for the lubricant segment?
Sure. So obviously the BS4 to BS6 transition has been interesting for us as well, because we've had to update our products to make them BS6 ready, right? So that can be used in BS6 engines as well. A few of our existing products, we had to upgrade their formulation. We also launched new brands and newer specs, in fact, for the BS6 vehicles. So it was a combination of both. Having said that, there's one more aspect that has come in, which is also very interesting, which is that the new SCR devices that are fitted into the new trucks, right? The BS6 trucks for emission norms, right? For better control of harmful emissions. And there's a new market that's opened up apart from engine oil. There's also a new AdBlue market or the DEF market, diesel exhaust fluid market that has opened up, and that is a new business opportunity for us. We already have products in this area, and it's a booming market, and we are a good player in this as well. We've launched our own Gulf Eco Pro AdBlue, and we've also launched one in collaboration with Ashok Leyland, which is Gulf AL AdBlue. So apart from the engine oils being upgraded for BS6 and the CK4 API specification coming into the market now, there's also this whole AdBlue play that is happening.
Okay. Amit, I'll come back to AdBlue in a bit, but just let me get in Abhishek here. Abhishek, while the OEMs, the tire industry keeps transitioning through technology in a periodic basis, the road transport industry is changing practically every day. There are new rules, there are new laws. How is the transport industry coping up with these?
You are absolutely right, Girish. The changes are happening constantly. If you look at it in the last 4 to 5 years, we moved from BS3 to 4 to 6. So the transport industry is coping because eventually they need to run trucks, and whatever be the latest technology, that's what's available in the market. So initially there were resistance, for BS6. I think it was more of the fear of the unknown, and people weren't sure what to expect, especially given the number of sensors and different configurations that the BS6 vehicles came in. But I think over time, as the data shows that the number of BS6 vehicles have picked up and the acceptance has somewhere come in, and also the teething issues that the OEMs faced have been sort of ironed out now. So I think the industry is coping well with the new regulations and the new vehicle types.
But Abhishek, apart from the trucks and the tires and other things, what about the government rules and regulations? How is the transport industry coping with them? You have the GST, you have the e-way bills to deal with. How tough is that?
So that's something that's here to stay. Again, it's a new challenge every day for the transport sector with rules and regulations being changed. E-way bill, I think, has it's been a boon in a way because the different road permits, the different types of documents required in every state became much easier. The border checkposts for sales tax per se was cut down. The intervention of trucks on a regular basis reduced. Definitely, it required them to adopt technology to be able to comply, to update the vehicle number, to extend the e-way bill validity. So a lot of challenges that they are still sort of grappling with, but I think over time people have started using technology to manage it better. There are solutions that are available which transporters today use, to extend their e-way bill validity right from their mobile. Automated solutions which are integrated to their softwares. So I think over time the transporters are evolving and accepting these changes.
Pramod, in the last few years, the road infrastructure has improved drastically. We see new highways, new expressways. What impact does this have on the tire industry? Especially, tires can now last longer. And how do you curate your products for these kind of roads?
Girish, the road infrastructure development has really been one of the very positive and good developments for us as a country in the last few years. And a better road infrastructure definitely has a much more positive impact on the overall tire life. And having said so, we also see an emerging trend amongst our customers where they are moving away from just seeing as the product as how much longer does it last, to a stage where they actually look at quality and safety as well. Now that is something which the customers have started demanding more. That is a change that we're seeing. Additionally, what we also see is that there's a new emerging trend where the tire is not being seen as an isolated product like it was in the past, but we have more and more fleet customers who are now looking at it as a part of the connected vehicle ecosystem, where the fleet operators demand a real-time visibility of their tire pressure and a real-time visibility of their assets. Now, to cater to this particular growing demand and segment, we have also launched something called Conti Connect, which is a real-time tire pressure monitoring system. So wherein a fleet operator or a fleet manager sitting anywhere in the country can have a complete visibility, a real-time visibility of all the assets across and see what is the temperature, what is the pressure. And this also gives the flexibility or the facility to the fleet owner to see to reduce his tire expenses. It helps him improve the fuel efficiency. It helps him get a better tire mileage and overall improve the vehicle safety as well. So these are some of the interventions that we typically see because of the improved logistics or the road sector coming up in the country.
Amit, with these trucks running for a longer period and running faster than before, how critical is the lubricant part?
Right. So a couple of things, Girish, on that. One is you're rightly saying that the trucks are running longer than before. In fact, Pramod also talked about per kilometer cost. Right. So Gulf actually has been the pioneer in long drain technology in the loop space. Right. We were among the first to launch long drain intervals in the industry. Today we can boast of 80,000 kilometers on BS4 as well as BS6 vehicles with our products. So this long running, we make sure that you don't have to stop for an engine oil change. Your frequency of change reduces, and that way the cost per kilometer also goes down. Today, value is becoming extremely important with inflation all around on all products, right? So I think customer and the trucker will see more value in the kind of range that Gulf Oil has in terms of the long drain interval that we have, right, for our products. In terms of running and maintenance of the products, today with the newer and heavier sort of loads that the trucks are carrying over a longer distance, it also puts a lot more pressure on the engine, and engine oil then plays a important part in protecting the engine. So one of our brands, Gulf Superfleet Turbo Plus, also offers 45% more protection to the truck engine, and that's how we also help the trucker reduce his downtime, and his engine is maintained. And also with our other products which offer long drain, he has that choice as well. So we have a range of products which help truckers keep their truck moving at all times.
So Abhishek, you just heard from our speakers, you have better trucks, you have better tires, better lubes, better roads. Of course, all this comes at a cost, but how much impact has this had on the efficiency of road transport?
See, the higher capacity trucks and all the aggregates that go along with it, I think play a very important role in reducing the overall operating cost as well as to ensure better turnaround. So if you look at the vehicles which are doing, say 250, 300 kilometers a day until about 4 or 5 years ago, we now see vehicles being able to do a lot more per day on a per day basis, along with a higher carrying capacity. So definitely, the advancement that's happened at each level, be it the tire, the lubes, or the engine, and the gearboxes, everything that's got upgraded over the last couple of years has all helped in the overall running of the vehicle, in the overall efficiency for the truck owner, and bringing down the per kilometer per ton cost.
So Abhishek, while road transport has been growing by leaps and bounds, one issue that has always remained is shortage of drivers. And your association, ITWA, started the Highway Heroes program. Can you take us through that, and how can this issue be addressed?
So the Highway Hero program was actually started just before COVID, and the intention was to uplift the lives and to get the recognition for these truck drivers, who are working in very, very difficult situations, to make sure that various things reach the end users across the country and the economy as a whole runs. Due to COVID, I think the entire driver ecosystem got a lot more highlighted, and people realized that this is an important segment of the supply chain which needs to be taken care of. And a lot of corporates, a lot of government bodies came forward and supported the Highway Hero cause. During that time, we fed drivers, we did sanitization of trucks, to get that moral boost for the drivers during that period. But of course, the buck didn't stop there. There's a lot of activity that we're doing currently. We've tied up with a legal tech company which helps truck drivers today address the small legal issues they have on the road. We can't expect a truck driver to know volumes of law, right? Because there are so many different laws which even all of us don't really know well. So we've tied up with this company which provides them an on-call support of a legal executive, which helps them address any legal problem on the way. Because today, for a truck driver who's carrying crores worth of cargo, driving through different climates, road conditions, trying to save his truck from theft or accidents, or officials who are trying to extort him with money. So, in all these circumstances, if he has a tool which he can use, we think that will really help. And we're seeing some very good results in the last couple of months of operation. And such kind of things is what we're trying to bring forth, for the truck drivers, so that to basically empower them, in their journey, and to see that the conflict that happens on the way, or the cost that sort of increases and gets hidden, is taken away completely.
Amit, Gulf Oil has also been has taken a lot of initiatives for the driver community. Can you just run us through a bit of those things?
Sure. So I think we often people ask how is Gulf different as a brand compared to any other brand in the industry, and I often say that we are a human brand, right? That's because we really go that extra mile to understand our consumers better. We don't just look at him from the ecosystem point of view of, he's a vehicle owner, but we go beyond that and we understand the human emotions behind it. One of the things that we realize is truckers are on the road, 24/7, almost all the days. They rarely get to spend festivals with their family, and that's an emotional chord, that we thought we could touch. And we said, there's a brand with us which is about protection, Gulf Super Fleet Turbo Plus, and there's a festival of Raksha Bandhan, which the trucker is supposed to celebrate with his sister, but more often than not, he's on the road, he's on duty. This festival is about the promise of protection. So we saw a good fit there, and for the last 3 to 4 years, we've been doing a Gulf Super Fleet Suraksha Bandhan. We've been celebrating this festival with the truckers. And we've taken various initiatives through it to help the lives of truckers. So just to give an example, last Raksha Bandhan, when vaccines were actually difficult to find, vaccines had just come in around, I think, April, May. And this was August, and we were in urban areas, we were struggling to get our first dose. Gulf took the initiative to vaccinate 10,500 plus truckers. And in fact, we did it along with TV9 as a media partner, and another media partner we had on board. So we achieved this incredible feat, and we received a lot of love from the truckers in return. Our awareness levels went up, our brand consideration went up. There was a lot of love for the brand that came in. We measured that. But the most important thing was the smiling faces that we saw on truckers when we took this initiative, because it was a really tough time. These were the unsung heroes who had delivered goods during the pandemic, peak of the pandemic, when we were sitting at home and the essentials were being delivered to us at our doorsteps. Hardly any brand, anybody was thinking about these guys, and it gave us a lot of satisfaction to do something like this for them.
So Pramod, talking of tires, once upon a time, tires was number 2 in the operating cost after diesel. Now with toll tax growing, tires I think has come down to number 3. But still, tires is a significant part of the operating cost, and maintaining a tire is very, very crucial to get, better CPKM. How is Continental, educating the transporters, the drivers to make sure that they get the best out of the tires?
So you're right, Girish. I mean, it's not the right way to bring down the cost by increasing the taxes, but unfortunately, that's the way it happened. But in Conti, we have the global expertise and the skill sets to train our customers, share with them the best practices on tire maintenance habits, etc. In fact, we do that as a part of our routine engagement activity with almost all the fleet customers that we have a business connect with. But over and above that, and most importantly, what we also do is we use our technology to try and address those areas which can make a direct impact on the CPK. So if I have to give a very specific example, we have introduced something called Conti Supreme technology in all our radial tires in being manufactured in India. Now, this is a technology, technology which Conti has developed. And the bead area is typically the contact area between the tires and the vehicle, and is more prone to issues and cracks, etc. So we have come up with a new technology which ensures that the bead area retains its flexibility, heat resistance, durability for a longer period of time. Now, what this ensures is that the tires are good enough for multiple retreads throughout their life. Now, this one single piece of engineering can have the impact of dramatically reducing the cost per kilometer for a customer. So instead of buying 2 or 3 tires over that lifetime, he can use the same tire at a much lower cost by doing 2 or 3 retreads. So it's a combination of both services as well as product technology that we are bringing on board to ensure that our customers get a better value and a lower cost per kilometer.
So Pramod, one of the elements of the tire industry has been the shift from bias to radials. How difficult was this in the Indian context?
So Girish, I briefly touched it in earlier when I was speaking about it. The change from BS4 to BS6 was more legislation driven, but in replacement market for the ancillaries there was nothing of that sort. So it has been a slow and challenging journey for the entire industry per se. And one of the biggest stumbling block, I would say, is the low entry cost for a bias technology tire. So typically, a bias tire would be around 25% cheaper than your radial tires. But having said so, the advantage that a radial tire offers far outweighs the benefits far outweighs the cost that it cost premium that it commands. So it gives the customer a much better mileage, it gives a much better fuel efficiency, and a much better overall vehicle safety as well. So our endeavor in Continental has been to work with our customers and demonstrate to them the value of our radial technology, quantify these benefits because that's what I to the customer and show them what is the benefit. And this transactional approach is something that we have seen helps convince the customer and make the shift towards radials far more easier and better for us.
Pramod, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the road transport industry has often been a neglected one. How important do you think is the Leaders of Road Transport Awards going to help this industry?
Girish, Amit touched it and in a very right manner. This is one industry which has never got its due when it comes to the kind of work that it did during the worst of the crisis that mankind saw, and that was the COVID crisis. When the entire world was in quarantine, this was an industry which kept the world going. I mean, globally, we saw the transportation industry, the logistics industry going out of their way to ensure there's food on the table, there's medicine in the hospitals, people are getting to hospitals. So this is the industry which kept globally things alive. But unfortunately, when it came to recognition, somewhere that kind of recognition never came to the truck drivers or the vehicle owners or the logistics industry guys. And I really appreciate and thank TV9 for taking this initiative. It is, I think, one of the big steps in the right direction, which brings the required amount of focus to this very critical segment and a very critical sector of our economy.
Abhishek, COVID, changed a lot of things. And road transport industry also has seen a lot of new segments coming up, especially you have the e-commerce, the last mile delivery. How do you see these emerging segments?
So the last mile delivery has definitely, changed the entire way that the delivery distribution used to happen as compared to earlier. Or rather, the e-commerce has changed the last mile delivery, if I put it correctly. The speed at which today things are getting delivered. You order something, you can get it on the same day. In fact, some of them are now committing 15-minute delivery. So the entire dynamics has changed. A lot has happened because of technology. A lot of it has happened because of the way the supply chains are, agile in today's day and age to be able to procure, to be able to store and make it available when needed. I think that's something which has really, done wonders. In terms of transportation or in terms of vehicles, I think, the LCV penetration because of this has been very vast. There have been all kinds of sizes of LCVs now that you see on the road, right from your say 500-600 kilos up to about 2 tons in city limits, all across the city, delivering last mile cargo for e-commerce segments.
Abhishek, one of the other changes that this industry has seen is that a lot of youngsters are now coming into this segment. There was a time when transporters were worried that my children are not coming into this space. You are the third generation transporter. What attracted you to this business, and how do you think the youth are evolving themselves?
See, I think given all the challenges in the sector, definitely you will all agree that transport is an evergreen business. With all the ups and downs in industry, the transport segment somewhere keeps continuing, and it's the backbone of the economy. So as the economy grows, there is always going to be growth in this sector. I think that's one aspect which drives youth today to be able to grow their business or to be able to take it to the next level, to be able to innovate, and and plus most of the family businesses or the second generation businesses you'll find don't have much of technology being used. So I think the youth then sees an opportunity to be able to make that change in their business. And that's something which is now driving the youth into this segment, and that's helping the businesses also grow at the same time.
So Pramod, when we talk of tech, we always relate to the trucks, the BS4 to BS6 shift. But one important thing that happened was that the axle load of trucks was increased overnight. As a tire manufacturer, did you have to go through a redesigning process to carry that extra load?
Oh, definitely yes, Girish. So as this shift happened and as the government increased the tire axle load limits, we definitely had to make a lot of changes on the tire design specifications so that we can cater to this change. So although the government did this to ensure a better or a lower transportation cost and increase the fleet efficiency, but overall as an industry, this was a big change for us, and the entire industry had to invest a lot of resources behind changing the design specifications so that it's ready for this higher load limits.
Amit, how significant are these changes from an oil perspective? New rules, new regulations, new trucks. What R&D do you have to go through for this?
Right. So our R&D team, in fact, is always obviously updated and attuned to the latest regulations and rules. And we also, since we have so many OEM partners as well, who we keep speaking to, we get notice of these things. We get a heads up on these things, and we are typically ready with the changes that are required. Like I've already mentioned, the BS4 to BS6 transition, the heavy axle load that you spoke about, all of that obviously puts some amount of pressure on the engine, and we are always ready with cutting edge products. So like I said, we are ready with BS6 products. We are ready with the latest API specification, CK4 products. We are ready with products which offer more protection to the engine because of this extra load that comes onto it, right? So yeah, we keep abreast of these things, and we are typically ahead by one step of these things. So we are ready to get into the market as soon as these new rules and regulations hit.
Abhishek, we keep talking about technology changing over the years, but just to give a perspective of how life of a transporter was before all this came in, can you take us through the process?
I think the say early 2000s, if I could tell you, because that's the time when probably I got into business, there was a lot of manual activity, documentation. So say, for example, a truck is getting loaded, the documentation would come to the head office, which would be entered into a Fox Pro based software, and the bill would get prepared, which would be almost 4 or 5 days after the shipment has left. In terms of visibility, there was literally no visibility. You had to always call the driver to find out where he is. Of course, very early for mobiles at time, so you would actually rely on the driver reaching his destination in a stipulated time, without any incidents on the way. So there was a lot of Bhagwan Bharose kind of a way of working back in the day. But today, in today's day and age of technology, I think everything has changed, right? You're able to see the visibility of the truck. You're able to get the documents on a real-time basis. You're able to get the delivery status on WhatsApp instantly. So that's the complete 360-degree change, if I could call it so.
So the technology in the road transport segment and the elements around it have been changing at such a fast pace that before you can even settle down to one, the next one is already knocking on your doors. This question goes out to all three of you. How do you see the future of your segment and what will be the drivers of growth? Pramod, you can go first.
So Girish, the only thing that I can say with confidence is that the pace of change is only going to accelerate. Nothing is going to stop or happen at a lower pace. But having said so, we need to see at the larger picture. Our Prime Minister has put a goal of 5 trillion GDP growth for the next 4 to 5 years to be achieved. Now, if this 5 trillion has to be achieved, the supply chain logistics industry will be one of the fundamental players or drivers for this growth. And the commercial vehicle ecosystem as a whole will be a huge benefiter from this particular growth. But having said so, this change will also bring in a lot of disruptions, like you rightly said. And these disruptions can be in the form of digitalization, it can be in the form of electrification, it can even be through legislation or whatever. Where we see is that while the overall segment and the economy will grow and we will benefit as a lot, as Continental, we being a global player, we are technologically ready to meet any of these challenges, be it digitalization, electrification, or any other challenges. And that makes us a lot more positive about these changes that are happening currently in India. In fact, we would be part of many of these disruptions and even act as a catalyst to some of these disruptions going forward.
What about you, Amit?
Yeah, so we've spoken enough about products and being ready for it. But I think what we also need to see is how technology is playing a role in the life of the trucker, right? Apart from just his role as a trucker. So a few things in terms of how do we engage with the trucker, right? Even that is changing because of technology. Right, like you rightly said earlier, it was impossible to track where a trucker is. Now there's GPS, right? Similarly, there's a lot of truckers now with smartphones, right? That enables us as marketeers to reach out to them, right? We have, for example, a mobile-based engagement platform, audio engagement platform with truckers, so that we can, every week there's an episode which goes out which tells them about maintenance of trucks. Gives them tips on maintenance of trucks, along with some amount of entertainment as well, because it can get very monotonous and dreary when you're on the way, right? And there's only the mobile that is the constant source of entertainment and education as you travel. So Jammu Rotation is a mobile-based engagement platform that we've launched. So what I'm saying is there are new ways of getting in touch with the trucker as well, engaging with him, understanding his life, right? So we also get feedback. We also carry out surveys on this platform. In fact, that's something maybe I would want to talk to Pramod also separately about, that he can get on board with this platform. We have 35,000 plus truckers on this platform right now, right? We typically also think that, YouTube, Facebook are urban phenomena, but we are also seeing so many transporters and truckers on Facebook, right? That's where we can engage as well as companies, as brands. So I'm looking at technology as an ally and not just restricting it also to the products that we make, but also in the ways of engagement with them. So whether it's digital marketing or mobile-based stuff. So I think that's how I'm seeing technology helping us as to help truckers' lives as well.
And Abhishek, finally, how do you think road transport is going to grow and how much more is it going to touch the lives of every individual?
I think there's a lot that's happening, Girish, at the moment, in terms of the changing of fuel, the new fuel that's being tried out. Hydrogen is to come in, electrification, like Mr. Pramod mentioned, is something that's on cards also for commercial vehicles in a very big way. So that's definitely going to change the way the entire trucking sector in India works, right? Because we can't even imagine parking our trucks and charging them. It's something which we've not even thought of. So there's a lot that's going to happen. In terms of the growth and the opportunities, I think there's immense. With the whole Gati Shakti and other initiatives of the government, the advancement in infrastructure, trucking is definitely going to continue growing. And with the technology by its side, I think it's going to be able to change the way the service is consumed by the eventual consumer, the information that passes, the collaboration that happens between different stakeholders. Multimodal activities are increasing at a very fast pace. So all these things I think are really going to improve the entire trucking ecosystem. And I think there's a lot good for the transport sector in times to come.
Road transport is and has always been critical for the economy. It creates opportunities for growth, generates jobs, facilitates trade, and realizes economies of scale. Realizing the full potential of technology requires us to consider how users' travel behavior will respond to it and how all of the society and economy can benefit. Road transport industry has been going through a lot of transformation, right from the operations in a transport company to vehicles, to tires, to lubricants, and even down to the basic road. We have a very exciting future ahead of us, and youth and technology will be driving this growth. Leaders of Road Transport is an attempt to acknowledge the partners of progress, that is road transport. We look forward to seeing you soon at the award ceremony. Until then, goodbye.